Tuiteaño. Knowledge. So much knowledge and the circle repeats itself every 4 years. Por lo menos cada 4 años se ve un poquito de cambio. Life. If we've learned something from this tragedy, it's that we truly need to appreciate life, despite how cliché it might sound. Purpose. We all search for purpose across the web, but we often fail to try it outside. Love. As cliché as it is, that Beatles song was right. We just need to practice love in more than one way. Only then will we heal. Marriage. Once powerful, still so powerful, now losing power, now losing meaning as the economy doesn't allow much space for it, old ideas slowly being shed. Memories. Some of the strongest curveballs life will throw at us every time we need to sit down and reflect, because we often fail to see the other sides of the equation. Mountains. Hundreds of cars drive past those mountains every day, but nobody really notices the beasts that rise every night. Mourning. They all mourned her loss as if she was a real person. That's the power of storytelling for you. Music. Disco music blasted all day as the teachers simply worked for a system that failed to work. Nature. I'm ashamed, Mother Nature. We say we care for you, but we continue to kill you. No matter how hard we try, we continue killing you. New. Never tell anybody that you're doing something new. Let time do that for you. Art. Art. An element that makes us human, but one that we all fail to practice due to fear. Film. The celluloid or digital file captures images that will eventually tell a story which will touch millions of hearts across generations. Series. They've received a new life thanks to that late 90s, early to mid 2000s family gangster tale where surrealism met an unlikely friend. Internet. I remember those simple days, solo usándola para check new bands and artists and movements, and look at it now, like Paul Rudd in Hot Ones. Look at how far and crazy it has become. Not giving up. As I spend hours watching running backs speed off into the sunset known as the end zone, I make it my mission to never give up on losing weight. Oneness. The oneness of man and nature is often put into question, for we continue to destroy that which allows us to breathe. Opportunity. I often think about missed opportunities, and I've lost some. But then I think, you gotta create some, and I just keep working. Overcoming. Overcoming one's self-critique is probably one of the most difficult things one must do. But one must also analyze the good it does, as it keeps one humble. Opportunity. They often say we should take opportunities when they're represented, but we often forget to create those opportunities for ourselves. Pain. An entire pueblo hurts as la corrupción desde arriba lo sigue aplastando. Patience. Maria showed us patience, but this ability often needs to sit on the side as the people protest for change, because change is needed, and it's needed now. Peace. Put on the headphones, lay on your bed and couch, get transported to a world of peace. Prayer. Depression hovers over us, so many reasons to be sad. I understand, y'all. A prayer for all, and those under any circumstance that leads to this. Regret. He spent time in jail due to someone's lie. He forgave that someone when he was finally proven innocent. I wonder if that someone will ever feel regret. Revenge. They've always been oppressed and pushed to the side by a government that treats them as less than. I just hope they can have their revenge. Prove the government wrong, kids. Roses. Let's not wait for the time to say goodbye. Let's celebrate our loved ones and those we admire. Let's give them the roses while they still breathe. Sadness. Every day you can see the sadness of generations being poured on internet rivers as people just wish for a better living situation and others just spread hate. All of it is sad from both sides. Simplicity. Life's simplicity shows beauty. It's up to us to see it in the details in the cracks. Sin. Every day we sin like Cain and Abel, showing love for some but hate towards others, living it us at odds 25-8-366. Soul. Let the arts into your soul, then practice them yourself, and you might just see a happier you. Stars. Stars fly across the stars like Kirby as loved ones die every day and prayers rain upon them. Suffering. There's no end to this, so the suffering continues as we continue to adapt. Sympathy. There will always be sympathy for all, but if you commit an error, be ready for the rain of hate that may come your way. Time. Time slows down, time moves fast. Time is a weird concept in this new weird world. Trees. We continue to be stuck at home, limiting our interactions with other people. Perhaps a few interactions with the trees will help us heal, at least a little bit. Trust. We often fail to trust ourselves, even when we know we're doing good, because today we question every single little thing, even when there's no reason for it. Love. We show each other love, sharing and collaborating on each other's work, but we don't get much back. We just do it for the love of the game, for the culture. War. Fingers causing wars no longer is pointing a finger a war starter, but rather the words we spew across news feeds with Twitter fingers. Work. They work, I work, we work, todo for the culture. We all express ourselves and leave it all out there and must document it all by ourselves because nobody else will do it for us. Love. Note to self. Delete the old account. Start new. Build your newsfeed with nothing but puppies and good vibes. Nothing but love. This would be nice, but it would also be an unhealthy bubble. War. War is raw like raw is war, full of edge, blood, and NSFW visuals that formed part of a generation's upbringing. Death. The artist's mind slows down, a weird feeling of death creeps in as the fire which drove the spirit is nowhere to be found. Nature. Diasporicans all across the globe suffer as they no longer get to sleep to the sweet sounds of coquille melodies. Beauty. Even in the dirty streets of La Metro, beauty can be found in the little details of the people who bring forth art and culture despite the vast amount of concrete and stupid ads all around. Aging. I often try not to focus on the physical part of aging, but what can I say? A veces uno ve los flaws y entra un poco de complejo. Desire. Accomplish every single goal and every single project on my notebooks. The one desire I've had since I was a teen. Dreams. At times you just want to give up and do nothing else, but then you remember the root of those initial desires, and then those dreams will never cease. Coming of age. Coming of age used to be a thing left for the late teens and early 20s. Now more than ever, we're given a chance to grow slowly, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it. Destiny. At times we question if we have a destiny, but then we entertain ourselves on social media and remind ourselves that we do have free will. Or do we? Depression. I think about my age, I think about my lack of success in anything, I think about my use of time in these past few years, and it all leads to depression. Courage. Facing your darkest thoughts, writing them down, expressing them fully, reflecting on them, facing them with or without help. All signs of courage. Spirituality. Often questioning our connection with the flesh and the spirit can lead us to rabbit holes we never imagined, and this can be interesting thought exercises that can bring forth new ideas and understandings. We just need to use them for a common good and not for the exploitation of others. Happiness. Constantly looking for happiness across the web only to finish empty in the end, but we fail to recognize it, so the cycle repeats itself till hours have passed and it's time for bed. God. We often question God, but now, more than ever, we find this connection in other humans via parasocial relationships, while we're willing to put it all on the line to defend the one we follow. Friendship. These bonds will never cease, at least I hope not. The web keeps us connected in these weird times, but I need your touch and a hug and a good old jangueo para sentir el amor que nos tenemos. Heartbreak. We connect so much with the characters that we feel their triumphs, their pain, their heartbreaks, all parts of good storytelling. Imagination. Our imagination and ideas of perfection often blind us, and we fail to see the reality of life, and we unknowingly hurt others who are in the same, if not a worse, struggle than us. Lust. As we approach the 5th year anniversary of that tragedy, thoughts of loss creep into my mind, and I just shed tears for those who had it worse than me and continue to struggle to find a normal living. Tragedy. Un pueblo forrado de azul como protección de la naturaleza sin ayuda del imperio porque no era gran cosa. Una tragedia que recordamos el 20 de cada septiembre. Memories. Memories of those dark days creep in as I record the audio version of my journals from those patience-filled days where loss of sleep was a norm and reading became the most common form of entertainment. Lots of connections we remade back then, but there was a lot of loss as well. Mortality. With our lives being so short in the span of the world's lifetime, we seek for ways to make ourselves immortal, even when things seem mortal. Immortality. Will these words keep me immortal? In a way, I truly hope so, but I also acknowledge the possibility of that not happening at all. Marriage. I feel that we've been married for more time than usual. Sure, we might need that piece of paper to make it official, but these emotions have been there for far more time than that paper will ever demonstrate. Rebirth. Often felt like a rebirth is needed, like a phoenix or like a Dragon Ball wish. But I guess the best we can do is reflect on our past and find ways to better our future. Doing that as a whole will be the biggest challenge. Seasons. The seasons keep passing and we get closer to looking like the Weekend on the Dawn FM cover, and I've yet to fully accept it because deep inside I feel young, but the physical doesn't cooperate. Sexuality. It seems like now more than ever sexuality is being questioned and different forms of acceptance and hate are flourishing. These are interesting and weird times we live in. I can't wait to see how the younger pollitos react to all of this. Religion. We've challenged religion for so long now that we fail to realize that we substitute with other forms of it, be it celebrities, astrology, and or political ideologies. It's a weird dynamic that's funny to look at with a magnifying glass. Secrets. We put so much into the world, it's a miracle that we still have secrets. But just imagine how vast the multiverse would be if all secrets were out there and the secret wars were made public. Man, we see ourselves as superior to others, be it other humans, animals, plants, lo que sea, so much so that we forget to be humble and simply be human. Nature. Some of us try to protect you, others continue to kill you. We are so selfish, so greedy that we fail to acknowledge the balance required for our race to keep going. Peace. A few minutes of peace will be great after so much noise brought forth from the outside, inside, and what I constantly consume. Pain. This pain in my back will never rest as I continue to carry a self-imposed weight on my entire body. Isolation. So many days spent in isolation, it's a miracle we haven't seen more violent events on the streets. Sure, we've seen a bit of it, but I'm surprised we're not in a RoboCop situation. Eternity. Seeking to exist for the rest of eternity, many fragile minds join groups full of deceit that'll fool them into acts of tragedy that'll leave a mark in history. Earth. I touch you and try to connect with you as I try to protect you while others keep destroying you. We're too driven by ego and greed that we fail to shield you. I hope we have enough time left. Emotions. Balls full of emotions search for love on webs full of timelines where they express their love and disdain for anything and everything they find. Faith. Take a look at how religion has been used across history and ask yourself why the newer generation have lost faith in religion. Dreams. These dreams drive me to continue to keep working hard till I can achieve them all. I don't think I'll ever rest. I can already see myself in my deathbed working on my passions like Dilla. Celebration. We celebrate the new year and we make a list of new goals that we wish to celebrate at the end of this year, but we forget that we should work hard before we celebrate. Wellness. They often tell us to work on ourselves and watch out for wellness, but they don't tell us how, and when they do, they don't give us the space and time to do so. Recovery. We go through many hours of torture but have little time for recovery, and the cycle repeats itself in the 9-to-5 grind. New life. Every day brings a chance for a new life. But can we really afford it in the time of system we live in? Birth. Many hours of pain are behind the birth of every piece of art. We probably could never compare it to childbirth, but there's suffering here. Ask away or look up some docs. Disappointment. Want to see disappointment? Take a look at Boricua millennials when politicians are chosen every 4 years. Failure. The fear of failure will forever hold us back from trying to be creative. Sometimes we just gotta take a fucking chance, take a leap, and try things out. War. Despite our hate and fear of war, we always engage in it with Twitter fingers. Maybe it's 'cause it feels safe when you're anonymous. Immortality. Certain records feel like immortality cemented on the history books, but then things change and new gods are celebrated. Coming of age. The father's not present, the mother's hooked on drugs, la abuela is barely alive, a chaotic household for the two brothers, loss of innocence in a forced coming of age reality. Faith. Every 4 years the cycle repeats y el pueblo se decepciona, es obvio que la fe se perdiera. Fear. One of my biggest fears. Drive from La Metro to La Isla, fall on a pothole and lose my car in the process. Grief. The year? 2088. An entire people grieve the loss of their isla to the corrupt. Forgiveness. A lot of canceling and a lot of holding people accountable, but very little forgiveness. These are interesting and weird times. Hatred. See the comments all across the web and you'll find a bit of everything, but, much like in the news, hatred and violence always stand out. Afterlife. If there's even an afterlife, what would it be? Will it be angels or demons, like we're usually told, or will it be something much, much surreal and out there? Something so far from the human mind that it can't be imagined. Myth. So many myths grow in these internet streets, it's all a matter of doing proper research and differentiating between fact and fiction. Art. You can find art everywhere, you just need to look deeper. Sadly, we sometimes take it for granted, or we simply don't have time to appreciate it to the fullest. I mean, just look at the people next to you. They are pieces of art, universes themselves. Community. A sense of community, a sense of love, what many look for on the web because they can't find it in the real world. It's kind of sad, but one can see its pros. Straight edge. Being straight edge, celebrated by some, practiced by few, especially in these times where escaping reality is sought through many forms. Punk. Your sound might not be the most popular thing right now, but your idea, being independent and DIY, is probably the most common thing today, as more and more people seek to do everything themselves. Anxiety. I look at my fingers y ya no tienen cueros, pero siempre se encuentra algo. Ansiedad a la mil. Defeat. Work a 9 to 5 for at least a week and tell me you don't feel defeat as you feel your life end in this endless loop. Heaven. Paintings of heaven cover these halls where some seek forgiveness and others shed tears due to the aesthetic beauty of their surroundings. Suffering. Spend enough time on Twitter and you'll find many people who deep down are suffering. Joy. Listening, simply listening, that'll bring joy to many. Disappointment. Guilt tripping, a common act found in Boricua culture because we're often told what to study and work to escape the crisis we live every day. Stars. We look at stars and put them on the stars, hoping they won't fall, but these stars are humans and one day they'll make mistakes. Trust. Trust has been lost, no longer do we believe in politicians or the news to sell false hopes, and fake news for the clickety-clacks. History. We never learn from you, history. I guess que por eso la vida es un ciclo. Tradition. Bienvenido todo lo nuevo, pero que la tradición nunca muera, sino que evolucione y se adapte a todo lo nuevo y revolucionario que nos trae cada generación. Identity. Identity? What is that? En la Isla del Encanto existe, pero siempre se cuestiona, siempre evoluciona. Isla del Escanto, Isla del Espanto, Borinquen, Boriquen, Enchanted Island, Richport, PR, P fucking R, todo lo que venga, seguimos en la búsqueda de una identidad. Purpose. We often question our purpose and we try to find answers wherever we can, sometimes fall into traps of men filled with the 7 deadly sins because we just want to learn or at least have a sense of hope that we have a purpose in this universe and the next. Regret. We often say that we have no regrets, but when we really sit down and think, we acknowledge certain mistakes we wish we hadn't made. We just know we can't take them back and we try to do the best in the future. Encouraging. Certain rewards can encourage good habits, bad habits, all types of habits that can completely shape an entire community's modus vivendi. Opportunity. A small island in the middle of the Caribbean finds little opportunities, but you can find glory whenever its people catches one and uses it pa echar pa'lante. Music. Music covers the environment as the artist organizes his studio before another session of creativity in his ideal 9 to 5. Roses. A flower full of roses for you, my love. I know it's a cliché picture to present, pero a veces lo clichoso funciona en el mundo cursi del amor. Innocence. La inocencia se pierde a diario en estas calles y mientras tratamos de ayudarles al máximo jamás podremos saber y ayudar del todo en sus hogares. Moon. You are so beautiful to me y me inspiras a cada vista. Cuánto quisiera admirarte sin la contaminación para verte con todas las potencias. Sun. El sol entra un poco por la puerta hasta eventualmente llegar a mis ojos y el cuerpo reacciona listo para meterle mano a otro día en la esfera, donde la cosa se pone buena, donde la cosa se pone mala. Todo depende de lo que veas, todo depende del punto de vista, todo depende de todo. Mountains. We go into the mountains and find many curves, but also lots of wind, but also lots of peace. We wish we could be here a little longer, pero la vida nos llama y hay que volver al caos. Planets. We're all our own little planets, even universes, if we let ourselves be fully creative, never putting aside that sense of adventure, wonder, and imagination that we always had as children. Horoscope. My generation has left the Bible and its cousins for the horoscope. It's an interesting dynamic because it's a natural progression as we seek reaffirmations or some place full of hope in surreal times. Jealousy. Jealousy will forever hold back genres of music from ever getting into the ears of adults and elders who just get stuck in the past and label everything new as trash. Duty. Many of our officials have lost their way, their sense of duty, because the ones in control continue to fail us year after year. Responsibility. We always want to hold others accountable for their fuck-ups, but we never want to be responsible for our own. Supernatural. The spirits of those who give it all surround the world of the living. Some see it as a form of the supernatural, but I see it as ideas staying alive. Circle of life. We constantly interrupt the circle of life as we continue to bring concrete and destroy what little nature we have left in our little islita. Sunshine. The sunshine tries to wake me up, but nightmares have already done that, and I just lie here pondering as I write away these images that could one day become a piece of art. Change. We all want change, extreme quick change, pero no hacemos lo suficiente para que venga y se nos olvida que el cambio toma tiempo, mucho fucking tiempo. Flowers. Flores para todas las personas que me han inspirado, que me han enseñado, que me han ayudado. Flores para todas las personas. Time. With every day that passes, death is closer, so why not have fun and do the things we love the most? Love. We romanticize love so much, but we often see it die due to greed. So, what's to romanticize? Death. Death has often been romanticized. I'm sure I've been guilty of it at some point too. I wonder why we do it though. So many variables go into it, and I'm sure those can bring some answers as to why we romanticize this stage of life. Religion. Religion can do many things. Just look at the history books and how people have used it for their benefit or to justify their actions. Spirituality. Always searching for a sense of spirituality, something divine, something ethereal that connects us with the universe, often losing our connection with the present. Nature. A few minutes under the sun in the depths of the sea or feeling the breeze would be a nice experience right now. Beauty. Your beauty, my love, seems to be endless as I find something new despite the close to 15 years we've been together. Aging. As I keep aging, desperation kinda kicks in as time continues moving and I can't do anything to stop it. Desire. We have thousands of desires, but we do little to achieve them, and then we bitch and cry because we don't have shit. Identity. Identity politics take over newsfeeds as people's journals and inner thoughts get more publicized than ever, opening the floor for more dialogue, challenges, and acceptances. Travel. Whenever you can, travel. Explore different places and cultures in order to change the perspective you've created from your own little bubble. Apocalypse. With every piece of scientific information we get, it feels like we're approaching an inevitable apocalypse. No wonder younger generations continue to feel depressed. Dreams. Dreams followed, dreams shattered, dreams deferred. Common actions taken by Boricuas, but more the latter two than the first. Celebration. Clang, 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 clang. I can still hear los sartenes y las ollas as Boricuas finally felt power after taking down one of their most corrupt politicians in recent memory. Wellness. Wellness has now become a mainstream concept. However, no matter how much it's preached, many still fail to actually care for others. Recovery. More time for recovery should be provided for 9 to 5 workers who spend more time laboring than at home. Everyday life. There's always beauty in everyday life. It's all about looking deeper and finding the details. Observe, listen, smell, touch, taste. Your 5 senses alone will help you in the process. Work. The mind fries as we're constantly working on the 9 to 5 and my own shit y la pandemia no se acaba. ¿Cuándo habrá un break de esta jodienda? Lust. Endless lust can lead to drastic decisions. Gluttony. Our gluttony has brought us here. Now we're a community full of diseases and with a lack of real self-love. Greed. Greed corrupts even the most humble, even the most innocent. It's up to us to fight it whenever we're infected by it. Sloth. Laziness can be a detriment to society, but man, sometimes it's good to be lazy. Sometimes it feels nice to kick back and relax, especially after 40 hours at work and 15 more at home. Wrath. Man's wrath sees no end. History has shown us this and more. Envy. Once envy kicks its way through your innermost self, it's difficult to get it out. A lot of self-reflection and humility is required to heal from said emotion. Pride. When we let pride take over, we can lose humility. When we lose humility, we can lose that which made us human, hence losing our connection to the world. Blood. So much blood has been lost in times of war, all for the interests of men measuring their dicks and men wanting to impose their beliefs on free minds. Feel. We feel so much, we struggle so much, we go through so much, but we're still here and we're still going like forever couples do. Loyalty. Loyalty is kinda non-existent these days. People will break it in the search for clout. Pride. Pride is constantly celebrated by multiple communities. The background doesn't matter, but they all intertwine, be it common goals or insults in internet battlefields. Humble. Some say staying humble is the best thing to do at all costs, even in the arts, media, and entertainment. But when we look at the mainstream, things can be a little more different. Love. One of your hugs would be good right now. These frustrating times can be so difficult. I haven't seen friends or family for a while. All I got is you now. A nice hug or kiss would be nice right now. Fear. Fear of being forgotten, the unconscious drive behind everybody's oversharing. God. We pray so much to God and we continue being disappointed. A little praise is okay, but in order to achieve certain goals, we should get organized and start working. Heritage. They value their heritage even if they don't know it in its entirety, because they've been taught that they should value their home regardless of its past, which is why they'll stand against any oppressor who wishes to destroy their land for monetary gain. Politics. Politics constantly divide us. Thank God for music. Oh, wait. Resilience. Resilience continues to grow as the people's eyes are constantly open to the evils of their world. Existentialism. We all suffer a bit of an existential dread from time to time. One of the worst times for me was right before finishing my BA, and thanks to it, I made some decisions that I've yet to fully accept. Surrealism. Surrealist images took a hold of the internet, making it their home after years of living here and there. Future. I've been writing about you recently. It's interesting to see the many ways one can explore you. Every second becomes part of you, and at the same time it doesn't. Your rabbit hole is one of the most mind-bending, one that'll truly take lifetimes to comprehend. Addiction. Can addiction be considered healthy if it helps you cope with all your inner struggles, if it helps you express whatever comes to mind, if it helps you grow and become a better human being? Rebirth. Every few years we need to do a rebirth after briefly analyzing one's life situation. Confusion. Weird times we live in, confusion reigns supreme as misinformation spreads across all data platforms. Uncertainty. Uncertainty, the main feeling I experience when thinking about the future. Home. We're constantly looking for a home because we hate living in a flat. But do we really want to live here? Should we get into that kind of commitment if we don't want to live in these metro streets? I know things seem good now, but maybe we should wait till the right opportunity rises. Moving away. Moving away can be a difficult thing, but for Boricuas it's an everyday occasion, which is why we've grown numb to the pain and going to the airport is just commonplace. Friendship. Never thought our bond would grow this strong in such a quick time. Sure, it's still a work thing, but I'd say I'd be safe asking you to hang out if I were to ever leave. Thank you for the friendship. I never thought I'd develop one in these metro streets. Distance. Distance has been separating us a bit. I can't wait to see you. La pandemia has made things difficult, but I hope we can still hug, laugh, and share like we hadn't skipped a beat. Food. I miss those barbecue days with your family. That food y compartir con amistades was truly an amazing feast of love. I wish we can repeat it again someday, with the bigger family and group of friends that we've come to develop. Street life. Many want to say they live the street life, but when the street life comes for them, they're quick to show their true colors, which is why it's better to be true to yourself and use your own identity whenever you want to achieve creative goals. Party. A good party like those in Cabo Rojo would be nice right now. We can't do that right now, but that's why I truly need right now, just to escape this dark ordeal. Fashion. So much quick fashion out there, it's not helping in our fight against climate change. We've been so used to buying and throwing away, we need a little rewrite. Fashion. So much quick fashion out there, it's not helping in our fight against climate change. We've been so used to buying and throwing away. We need a little rewiring if we want to have a chance. Architecture. I never thought I'd appreciate you. To me, you were just buildings. I never saw you as art. But thanks to that humanities professor, I finally started seeing the beauty in you and many other objects that I just considered mundane. Words. There's never enough words to tell your story. Nostalgia. We're so attached to nostalgia that we barely leave space for new innovative stories, pero ¿qué se puede hacer? After working 9 to 5, something familiar is nice pa chilear. Achievement. New lessons learned after watching videos and reflecting on the topics. Achievement unlocked. Attraction. As kids, we always have an attraction towards someone in the classroom, but we never act on it because we're afraid to be rejected. Then we reach adulthood and those L's become endless. Adaptation. We constantly fight because everything we see is based on IP, but it's always been like this. Regardless, new ideas will always come and the big corps will continue to flourish unless we make a real effort to consume new alternative experimental ideas. Ambition. My ambition might be the death of me. Se siguen llenando ideas y notes con ideas. A veces demasiado ambiciosas para mi salud, pero aquí seguimos trabajando para cumplirlas, a veces poniéndolas por encima de la salud. Balance. Ayer fue la ambición, hoy es el balance y es necesario especialmente para este loco que a veces lo pierde y se le caen las cosas como un malabarista. Pero tratamos, seguimos buscando el yin-yang. Consistency. La consistencia no para y la cuestionan con frecuencia y mi respuesta se divide en partes. Disciplina, investigación, inspiración, sin miedo. Y estoy seguro que dejo algunas fuera. Sorry por eso. But you know what? Go find the others by yourself. Cheer. Sometimes we cheer so much that we forget the possibility of loss, and when it happens, we hurt. We hurt so much that we're willing to fight others, including those we cheered for. Cooperation. With a little bit of cooperation from all sides, we can have a chance at understanding and respecting each other a little bit more. Excitement. Thursdays and Fridays are full of excitement for the children because they feel a bit of freedom when they get to leave the classroom and work in the backyard. Flexibility. I try to be flexible as fuck, pero me gusta mantener algún tipo de rutina, me gusta seguir la disciplina porque con ella mantengo la consistencia. Pero el espacio para experimentar e improvisar siempre estará open para lo que venga. Focus. Never losing focus, the poet gets to work sharpening the sword with every little letter he types, because he's always looking to perfect his craft, always looking to shape the craft. Play with it, experiment with it, make something new with it, para que los pollitos coman y se pongan a pensar. Forgiveness. Today, lives are destroyed for the smallest of mistakes, and when they ask for forgiveness, they aren't given a chance. Y entonces, ¿qué de verdad estamos haciendo? Generosity. Generosity can go a long way, but it can also make the generous into a fool. Remember this. Make limits. Genuine. Genuine acts of kindness taking place and never being displayed, something that feels lost. Help. Asking for a little help can sometimes be the best step towards progress. Water. Water falls from the skies for a solid 102 hours, leaving nothing but chaos in small towns where there's poor infrastructure. Earth. Cuánto quisiera poner los pies en la tierra sin tener que preocuparme como hacía cuando chiquito en tiempos de juego. Rock. La piedra lo jodió, la piedra la jodió, la piedra lo jodió. Y en parte por eso la soda ya no tiene espacio en mi vida. Fire. Si no tienes un fuego calentando tus motores y sabes que no harías daño, pues tírate la misión y arranca a 120. Thunder. El día que te traiga que sea uno para bien y que tu cuerpo coja esa energía para todo lo bien que has querido hacer pero no tenías el poder para hacerlo. Heart. Por más que estés haciendo algo, si no le metes corazón, todo se sentirá incompleto, sea el trabajo o tu vida en sí, porque ninguna se sentirá plena. Recycling. Always recycling, trying to do my part. Meditation. I don't practice meditation regularly, but these words help do that, at least a bit. They are a stress reliever, that mode of self-reflection, that aid in self-expression, that little friend always there to listen, that punching bag to hit, that everything when there's nothing. Organization. Even when I feel the most organized, I fail to remember certain goals for each day. Is it the age? Lack of attention? I don't know. Pero un poco más de disciplina might help. Originality. We seek originality, but often fail. Productivity. Productivity might save me, but it might also kill me. Quality. Nowadays, quantity often outweighs quality for people to get poppin', but the argument is still there, and is probably more valid than ever, as quantity is often forgotten and the quality continues to have staying power. Emotions. Play with emotions, what media and those with power continue to do to garner your attention. Skills. A lack of certain skills makes me humble. Basketball. It's been a while since I last played basketball, but that scoring mentality and discipline are still in full display when you see me in the morning writing letters that'll eventually become poetria. Football. I've never played football. I've only thrown the ball a few times and maybe a street game here and there as a kid, but I never actually put on the pads. But that doesn't stop me from admiring the work ethic and applying it to my projects, art, and life-wise. Boxing. Boxing mentality whenever I write these verses, with each word serving as a punch, with every letter being a part of training, the never-ending training that goes into this sport that isn't considered a sport. Horse racing. A statue stands tall in a southern Body town that's proud of its horse racing legacy. Camarero. Tattoos. I lost count of my tattoos. I know I got close to 20 and I still want more, because every now and then certain phrases, words, and images hit me and they just need to be part of my flesh. Courage. A little bit of courage can go a long way when one is just stuck with no idea how to start. Insight. It's interesting to see how we get a bit of hindsight on our works behind the scenes, but when things seem to be going to shit, there's a sudden change and you realize the lies and hypocrisy that were underneath it all. Trust. It feels like chaos is now more rampant than ever, But how can you expect order when those who we're supposed to trust continue to fail at every promise they've made? Curiosity. Curiosity might be the most important arsenal in an artist's bat belt. Dreams. Imagine what would happen if the real world would collide with all of the dream worlds found within everyone's brains. Documentary. While the poet may not directly make documentaries, one could often read his works and find documentary features all across. Neorealism. Constantly inspired by neorealism, the poet tries to capture the reality of his environment as much as possible. Horror. These kids aren't afraid of horror movie monsters. They see them every day when they walk across the streets. School is their escape. If they had a chance, they'd live in school. Words I tell myself when I try to help my students. Comedy. They want our trust after decades of lies. Comedy. Haiku. These kids want freedom. Various street temptations rise. What will they do now? Danka. She preaches self-love. You see her getting fatter. Should she preach this word? Is self-love killing yourself through gluttony like I do? Clerihu. Sonny Chiba was fast like a cheetah. He passed on the same day as Groucho Marx. They both sure brought a ton of sparks. Arrogance. Arrogance is an interesting thing. It can lead towards glory, it can lead towards failure. We all practice it in many forms. How you use it will determine your fate. Deceit. Want to see deceit? Look up Trump and Rosselló's speeches during Hurricane Maria. Cynical. Cynicism might just be at an all-time high, or maybe it's always been there and we've never really seen it. Who knows? But the changes that we've come with time don't help much. Pessimism. A pessimist, after a little bit of reflection, I guess I can say I'm one. It's definitely something I gotta work on, but it's rather difficult with the way the world has been moving in the past few years. Belligerent. The belligerent side of every single person is triggered at one point or another when they swim across internet seas. Intolerant. We've become intolerant to any form of criticism because we suddenly call it hating or deem it as an ism. The saddest part is seeing the pollitos digest this as normal. Pompous. Sad to see how we still idolize pompous figures just because we have a nostalgic attraction to them. Truculent. Truculent fingers travel across internet feeds as they search for reasons to feel anger. Boastful. Outsiders would call us boastful because we're proud of our achievements, but they never know that we're our own worst critics. Detached. If you spend enough time on the web, one can find how many people have become detached from reality and how one can slowly become part of that statistic. Irresponsible. Irresponsible adults will quickly blame the art for their children's actions. They play the blame game rather than take accountability. Possessive. Possessive people. Reflect on your actions and find ways to let go. Unkind. Kindness is a beautiful quality, but sometimes we need to be unkind for whatever reason it is. Saying no can be a healthy choice whenever those around you are taking advantage of you. Boredom. We should learn to live with boredom. Bossy. Bossy kids run around busy streets trying to act as leaders as they act out whatever their community leaders do in moments of struggle. Callous. The golden age of callous men has passed, but it certainly feels like the silver age has already started. Careless. Careless acts of man have led us to a world where nature's elements have become chaotic. Domineering. Domineering parents can raise two types of people, those who bring forth order and those who bring forth chaos. It's almost a coin flip situation. Foolish. Foolish, emotion-driven acts often lead to the suffering of others. Jealous. Jealousy, a human quality that often leads to troublesome acts of madness. Quarrelsome. Without knowing it, we often give power to quarrelsome people who, at a mere sign of disrespect, would bring forth heinous acts that would change history for the worst. Unpredictable. Life's unpredictability makes it fun. Lazy. Lazy Sundays under cold rains watching movies with you are some of the greatest experiences we've ever shared. Resentful. Always beware of resentful people, especially those who are persistent in their acts. Unreliable. If there's something we should have learned a long time ago, is the unreliability of our politicians. We should simply forget about their promises and act for ourselves. Foolish. We all commit foolish acts, we just need to learn from them in order to be better humans. Mean. Mean children should be evaluated before they become mean adults. Rude. Rudeness, one of the powers that internet anonymity can give you. Good? Bad? Who am I to judge? It's just a fact. Untrustworthy. The most untrustworthy people are those you fight for and elect every 4 years. Greedy. Many who praise the word of the Lord are the greediest of people. Just look at the preachers with luxury vehicles, homes, and other forms of transport. Moody. One could say that millennials and zoomers are the moodiest of generations, but what can you expect? We've been dealt with a shitty hand, and it feels like the world is close to an apocalypse. Chill. Chill lo-fi beats play in the background as the poet grabs a brush and practices an art form he's always been afraid to practice. Painting. Sarcastic. Sarcasm, one of the defining qualities of the millennial generation. Take it or leave it, elders. We use it as comedy communication and even as a form of sharing wisdom. It's weird, pero nos entendemos. Vague. Vague instructions can often lead to beautiful results in the world of the arts. Compulsive. Compulsive acts can often destroy lives. This can be seen now more than ever, en vivo y a todo color. Gullible. Gullible people are often victims of abuse. Nasty. Nasty people will commit nasty acts, creating nasty people along the way. Hopefully, those nasty people will one day reflect and find that they need not act in nasty ways. Selfish. Selfishness will lead us to failure. Vain. Vain teens, often cleaning their sneakers, fail to think, maybe I should stop walking on dirt and mud para tener my cool appearance. Pero pues, ¿qué se puede hacer after you've already told them to watch where they walk if they want to protect their kicks? Cowardly. There are many cowardly people out there. In the web, they use anonymity to insult and ruin others' lives, but in the real world, if they face anyone whose life they've ruined, they'll just run away or fail to make eye contact. Weird forms of bravery and cowardice. Impolite. Impolite acts are often found in these metro streets. Solo tenemos que pichar and deal with it porque acá uno nunca sabe quién puede ser al que se le salga el monstruo. Nervous. Nervous to join the online world? I don't blame you. It's a weird one. A lot of good, a lot of bad. Just be careful with how you use it, and you should be fine. Stupid. Stupid thoughts make stupid people who hurt other people. Vengeful. Cruel acts can make the kindest of men in the most vengeful of men. Sometimes they act upon their thoughts, but more often than not, it is grief that'll hold them back from the acts that could make them into criminals. Cruel. Cruelty. The act that takes place the most often in our little isla as our leaders do nothing to push the country forward and or heal. Inconsiderate. Inconsiderate acts have always been part of our teenage experience, but we're slowly forgetting about that and shaming more people than usual. Patronizing. Patronizing bosses and patronizing staff, people to avoid in the 9 to 5. Tactless. Tactless remarks reign supreme in our minds whenever we read them. There could be thousands of great ones, but those negative ones, man, they always live rent-free in our heads. Vulgar. Vulgar words cover these fees much like they do in classroom seats and bathroom stalls. Humans, different canvases, similar expressions. Motivations. Some days I lack the motivation to do anything, so I consume some art, entertainment, content, media, whatever you want to call it, y de la nada sale inspiración que dura por par de meses. Respect. In the search for cash, many will lose some respect from others, but esos son sacrificios they deem worthy in times of survival, and I don't blame them, because eating comes first, and opinions of others come second, especially in a world where everyone has an opinion. Determination. Determination will always be a 50-50 variant whenever you want to accomplish something. What are you willing to do in order to accomplish that goal? Always keep this question in mind when facing a goal, and determination sits right beside you. Forgiveness. Funny to see how they suddenly ask for forgiveness and try to act holy cuando el pueblo se levanta y dice pa' fuera, pa' la calle. Authentic. Authenticity goes a long way, is what I hear/read often, but fakeness and acting do too, making 6 to 7 figures for many who sometimes even take advantage of the youngest of the pollitos. Generous. Generous acts are often taken for granted, never acknowledged, never given roses except for when dying breaths are next door. Diligent. Diligent ways lead to an illustrious career, but does it lead to happiness? Perhaps. At least on one front. Eternal? Difficult to tell. Happiness is, after all, composed of many variants. Scrupulous. Her scrupulous ways often held her back from achieving the acknowledgement she always wanted. So, where there was some sense of happiness, there was also sadness. Broad-minded. Broad-minded individuals will often bring the avant-garde into the mainstream, deconstructing what was once the norm and bringing forth a new norm that will eventually be changed, and the cycle will continue like it always has and always will. Discipline. Discipline. A little trait I'd like to tell my younger self, along with the fearlessness to take more chances even if they scare him to death. Hardworking. My career. An example of how hardworking can go by the wayside and maybe be acknowledged when I'm in a grave. Passionate. The passion in these words might touch on many topics, but hopefully they'll one day inspire those who have little to look up to. Selflessness. Our selflessness will open doors, break down barriers, open lines of communications for many to come together and understand each other in many ways never seen. Caring. They say sharing is caring, but is oversharing overcaring, or is it a bit of self-sabotage? Maybe I'm trust in being lost on my own part, or maybe I'm just being wary. I don't really know, but certain precautions don't hurt every now and then. Effective. How metaphorical do you really want to be? Will your work lose its effectiveness when what you write can be barely legible? Or does it add a lot of layers that'll make it a timeless piece of art? Humble. Humility and openness traits I try to keep near in order to keep me human. Patient. María showed me patience, pero a veces se acaba en el salón como una bomba a punto de estallar, como mi pueblo cada verano, pero luego reparte un juego y las revoluciones bajan, porque todos están calmados y hay peace and quiet. Sincere. I try to be sincere with them, even when the truth is harsh. It's a hard thing to do, pero hay que hacerlo para que tengan ojos abiertos y aprieten, porque siempre es necesario en esta etapa de lo académico. Collaborative. Even when they work collaboratively, chaos ensues as they miss the importance of communication in such an affair. I try to remind them in every step, pero ellos pichean, y se quedan en el loop, fallando en trabajos en equipos. Efficient. I try to keep an efficient workflow a pesar del 9 to 5 y me siento drenado casi todos los días esperando a que la consistencia rinda fruto, aunque por lo visto Esto no es suficiente. Innovative. Triste ver cómo a muchos innovadores nunca se les dieron las flores mientras el aire, agua y sangre le corrían por las entrañas. Perseverant. Triste ver un pueblo perseverante constantemente siendo arrebatado por aquellos que prometen ayudarle. Bienvenue a Puerto Rico. Studious. Studious habits, never learned. Too much chaos. PTSD, all they've learned. Consistent. Consistency made them tough. Now they've got easier days and they can breathe in better ways. Empathetic. Empathy abused by power-hungry pigs, driven by forms of greed. Kind. Different kinds of kindness are displayed all day, but they don't sell ads. Thinking. Too much thinking will sometimes lead us to depressive states, where we question our entire lives, leading to thoughts of suicide. Sometimes they stay, sometimes they fade. Too much thinking, too much thinking. Reflection. That reflection on the mirror tells a lot of stories and a lot of realities. We just need to look at it a little better and just look at the deeds in order to understand one another a little more. Introspection. A little bit of introspection will serve us all good, but we don't get the time to do it. Because as soon as we get home, we just want to escape our reality, escape the 9 to 5 and all the responsibilities that will come before the cycle repeats itself the next day. Courteous. Young Wes was a courteous boy, and his courteous ways opened and closed many doors, but he never really achieved many of his dreams because people just abused his kindness and he never really knew how to say no. Engaging. The fool often jumps without thought. The wise comes to the conclusion that it's best to not engage till one has learned the opponent's ways. Listening. If we do a bit more listening, we can do better places, find better solutions. Precise. Precise words can lead to better communication. Transparent. Transparency is an interesting quality. We wish it could be practiced more often. However, it often leads to pain, because the truth can be much more painful than a little white lie. Enthusiasm. The young boy's enthusiasm for the world of the arts led him to find a community of people producing some of the most interesting universes his little island could provide. Dance. After hours of excruciating work at the 9 to 5, the poet puts on some tunes and dances away the stress like the final minutes of another round. Loyalty. Find one form of internet drama and you'll find how loyalty is thrown around like a hot potato. You'd think these people would be a bit wiser after betraying once, but nope. It isn't like that at all. Then again, all of these stories could be forms of fake news. Proactive. It's unclear when the poet became so proactive, but something is clear. Without his current discipline, he would never feel somewhat accomplished. Trust. Trust. If you don't exist, relationships will never flourish. It's hard to trust others, especially now where trusted lives are often sold as reality. But it's inevitable. If there's no trust, you'll never have a person who will be with you in your final breaths. Decisions. Loose decisions have brought us here to a time where our climate looks sour with each day that passes. Evolve. Get out of your comfort zone, play, experiment, evolve. Only through this will you grow as an artist. Methodical. Methodical planning goes into each and every project, some more than others, of course. Sadly, none of them are given the love they deserve. Maybe when I die, those flowers will be given. Reality. As teens, reality became shaped in TV shows that used the word reality to sell us twisted products. Truth. Crazy to see how now we must search more sources than ever before we find the truth, as those we've trusted to tell us the truth have continuously built an agenda and neutrality has gone out the window. Adore. Our adoration of certain figures will often blind us y nos convertimos en papelones andantes. Bravery. Bravery takes many forms. One of them could be listening to others without judgment. Colors. So many colors to explore, yet I still choose the same ones. Lack of taste? Perhaps. But look at my paintings, and you'll find the opposite. Skills. No matter how many skills we learn, we can always learn more. No matter how many skills we learn, there will never be enough, because man gets bored easily. Leadership. Necesitamos líderes, she tells me, and I agree, but better ones from those of the past, because those were also corrupt. Teamwork. Teamwork will lead us to a better future. Sadly, our trust in others continuously dwindles. Words. I should have brought more books. Maybe I should have learned more words. Maybe the day would have passed faster. Mastery. Mastery will never be fully achieved. There will always be room for improvement. Disciple. Disciples eventually outmaster their masters as each generation learns more and more. Love. Love can be the solution. We just need to give it a chance. Adventure. We should seek more adventures in foreign lands. We could learn a thing or two. Amusement. We often search for amusement because we can't fathom the thought of living in silence for 5 minutes. Agreeable. There are always some agreeable points in every argument. Anger. Endless bottled anger soon explodes in the face of an abusive government body. Arrogance. Arrogance makes the smartest man into the dumbest man. Shame. Shame fell upon me after every red massacre seen in my drafts. Bad. Every 4 years there's another bad decision on the political spectrum. Beauty. All that physical beauty was lost as soon as they opened their mouths. Betterment. Endlessly working for the betterment of their community, but it was never achieved due to constant government interference. Blues. Weekend blues are real. Just look at 9-to-5ers on Sundays. Youth. The little youth I have left flies by, and I just sit here in a doctor's office feeling old. Calm. Staying calm is difficult when you feel like everything you do is worthless. Charm. They buy you with charm, but behind that there's only lies and deceit. Cheer. The year will soon end. Do you have a reason to cheer? Caution. Always proceed with caution and respect into unknown lands. Order. We all want order, but that's difficult to achieve in these troublesome times. Chaos. Chaos continues to spread as order is lost. Communication. Communication breakdown leads us to this state where nobody trusts anything, where conspiracies and misinformation reign supreme. Clouds. We stare at clouds and our imagination sparks psychedelic stories that could make good children's stories. Planes. Planes fly across the school, planes fly across my home, and I often fear that one will unexpectedly crash, taking me and others along the way. Combat. A world constantly in combat, as we're constantly triggered by posts presented by the algorithm. Comfort. Comfort zone movies, tunes, food, vids, memes, all of them necessary for the mind to rest. Craziness. Memes often show the craziest side of the human mind, the modern day dadaism that isn't afraid to experiment and have some fun. Cruelty. Internet rabbit holes can display the cruelty of man, which will make one mad. Mad men. Cute. Puppies all around my IG, and I smile and she smiles with me. We needed the cuteness overload to get our spirits up from these Xmas blues. Danger. Danger, danger. High voltage poetria coming your way as the year slowly closes and fireworks rain across the thunderbolt skies. Dark. Dark tales listened to on dark nights scare a young child and he loses sleep multiple nights, eventually displaying illness that his parents can't explain. Death. They say death brings forth life, and I try to think of this whenever someone close passes away, but it still hurts. It still fucking hurts. Celebration. The celebration starts soon, so we start making playlists and start decorating for celebrations, even if the invitees are just ourselves. Defiance. An oppressed pueblo will one day wake up from Stockholm syndrome in act in defiance. Bright. Despite all the darkness, a new year can bring a bright, shiny light, a brand new start.